The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Captain Sarah Chen as she piloted her small exploration vessel. The twinkling stars and distant galaxies always filled her with wonder. But today, something was different. A distress signal blinked on her console, breaking the peaceful silence. "That's odd," Sarah muttered, her brow furrowing. "We're in neutral space. Who could be calling for help out here?" She adjusted her course, following the signal to its source. As she drew closer, a massive space station came into view. Its sleek, metallic surface gleamed in the light of a nearby star. This was no ordinary station. It was the headquarters of the Galactic Council, the governing body that ruled over most of the known universe. Sarah's heart raced. Humans were still newcomers to the galactic stage, and the Council viewed them with suspicion. But a distress call was a distress call, no matter where it came from. As she approached the docking bay, Sarah noticed unusual activity. Aliens of various species were rushing about, their faces, or what passed for faces, twisted with worry. Something was very wrong. Sarah stepped out of her ship, her hand resting cautiously on her blaster. A tall, insectoid alien approached her, its antennae twitching nervously. "Human," it clicked in broken English. "You should not be here. This is not your concern." But before Sarah could respond, a heart-wrenching cry echoed through the station. It was unlike anything she had ever heard, a mix of fear, pain, and desperation that transcended species. Without thinking, Sarah pushed past the insectoid alien and ran towards the sound. She sprinted through winding corridors, her footsteps echoing in the metallic hallways. The cry grew louder, and with it, the sound of harsh voices and cruel laughter. She burst into a large chamber and froze at the sight before her. In the center of the room, surrounded by a group of alien diplomats, was a small creature. It looked almost like a ball of light, pulsing weakly. Tendrils of energy reached out from its core, only to be viciously swatted away by the aliens around it. "Stop!" Sarah yelled, her voice cracking with emotion. "What are you doing? That's a child." The aliens turned to her, their faces showing a mix of surprise and disdain. One of them, a tall, blue-skinned being with multiple eyes, stepped forward. "This is not your affair, human," he said, his voice cold and dismissive. "This creature is a threat to galactic stability. We are simply neutralizing it." Sarah's mind raced. She had heard rumors of the Council's cruelty, but she had never believed them. Until now. The child, for she was certain that's what it was, whimpered softly, its light dimming. "That's not neutralizing." Sarah spat, her hand moving to her blaster. "That's torture, and I won't stand for it." The blue alien laughed, a chilling sound that made Sarah's skin crawl. "And what will you do, little human? You are one, and we are many. Your species is barely out of its cradle. You have no power here." But Sarah stood her ground. She might be just one human, but she carried with her the strength and determination of her entire species. "We may be young," she said, her voice steady, "but we know right from wrong. And this is wrong." In a flash, Sarah drew her blaster and fired at the ceiling. The sudden noise startled the aliens, and in that moment of confusion, she dashed forward. She scooped up the alien child, cradling it gently against her chest. Its tendrils wrapped weakly around her arm, and she felt a wave of gratitude and fear wash over her. "This isn't over, human." The blue alien snarled as Sarah backed towards the exit. "You have no idea what you've done. The Council will not forget this insult." Sarah's mind was already racing, planning her escape. She knew she had just started something big, something that would change the course of human history. But as she felt the alien child pulse gently in her arms, she knew it was worth it. "Maybe not," she said, her voice filled with determination. "But neither will humanity." With that, she turned and ran, carrying with her not just an alien child, but the spark that would ignite a galactic revolution. The time had come for humanity to show the universe what they were truly made of. Captain Sarah Chen's heart pounded as she raced through the twisting corridors of the Galactic Council's space station. The alien child, a small ball of pulsing light, trembled in her arms. Angry shouts echoed behind her, but Sarah didn't look back. She had to reach her ship. Rounding a corner, she saw her vessel waiting in the docking bay. With a final burst of speed, Sarah dashed inside and slammed the airlock shut. Her hands flew over the controls, and the ship roared to life. "Hold on, little one," she whispered to the alien child. "We're getting out of here." As her ship shot out of the station, alarms blared. Several patrol ships appeared, their weapons charging. But Sarah was ready. She pushed her ship to its limits, weaving through asteroid fields and diving into nebulas. Her years of training paid off as she outmaneuvered the Council's ships, finally losing them in a dense cloud of space dust. Only when she was sure they were safe did Sarah set a course for Earth. She looked down at the alien child, now resting peacefully in a makeshift bed she'd created. "Don't worry," she said softly. "You're safe now." The journey back to Earth felt like the longest of Sarah's life. As soon as she entered Earth's solar system, she sent an urgent message to the United Nations Space Command, UNSC. "This is Captain Sarah Chen," she transmitted. "I have witnessed a crime against an innocent being committed by the Galactic Council, requesting immediate audience with UNSC leadership. This is not a drill." Sarah's ship landed at the UNSC headquarters in Geneva amid a flurry of activity. As she stepped out, cradling the alien child, she was met by a group of high-ranking officials. Among them was Admiral Helena Rodriguez, the head of the UNSC. "Captain Chen," Admiral Rodriguez said, her eyes wide as she saw the alien child. "What in the world happened out there?" Over the next few hours, Sarah recounted everything she had seen. The cruel treatment of the alien child, the dismissive attitude of the council members, and her daring rescue. As she spoke, the faces of the UNSC leaders grew darker with each passing minute. "This is unacceptable," Admiral Rodriguez declared when Sarah finished. "We cannot stand by while such atrocities are committed, even by the Galactic Council." Word of Sarah's discovery spread quickly. Within days, the story was on every news channel and social media platform across the globe. People everywhere were outraged by the Council's actions. In New York, thousands gathered outside the UN building, holding signs that read "Justice for the Alien Child" and "Humanity Stands Against Cruelty." In Tokyo, holographic displays showed the constellation where the incident took place, with red X marking the location of the Council station. In Lagos, street artists painted massive murals depicting Sarah's rescue of the alien child. The global reaction was swift and unified. Humanity, despite its many differences, came together in the face of this injustice. The UN called an emergency session to address the crisis. Inside the Grand UN Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered. The tension in the room was palpable as Admiral Rodriguez took the podium, with Sarah and the alien child by her side. "Distinguished representatives," Admiral Rodriguez began, her voice echoing through the hall. "We stand at a crossroads. For too long, we have allowed the Galactic Council to dictate the terms of our existence in this universe. We joined their ranks hoping for peace and cooperation. Instead, we have discovered cruelty and injustice." She gestured to the alien child, who floated gently beside Sarah. "This innocent being is the victim of the Council's brutality, but it will not be the last, unless we take a stand." Admiral Rodriguez's voice rose with passion. "I propose that we, the United Nations of Earth, take immediate action against the Galactic Council. We must show them, and the rest of the universe, that humanity will not tolerate such barbarism. We must strike back." The assembly hall erupted in cheers and applause. As Sarah watched, she felt a mix of pride and apprehension. She knew that her actions had set in motion events that would change the course of human history forever. The question now was, how would the galaxy respond to humanity's defiance? The world changed overnight. Earth, once a quiet backwater in the galactic community, was now the center of a brewing storm. The decision to stand against the Galactic Council had been made, and now humanity had to prepare for the consequences. In the days following the UN's declaration, a flurry of activity swept across the globe. Military bases hummed with newfound purpose, and research labs worked around the clock. The message was clear: Earth needed to be ready for anything. At the heart of this whirlwind was Captain Sarah Chen. Her bravery had sparked this revolution, and now she found herself thrust into a leadership role she never expected. Captain Chen, Admiral Rodriguez said, leading her into a high-tech war room. "We need your expertise. You've seen the Council's technology up close. What are we up against?" Sarah's mind raced back to the advanced ships and weapons she'd encountered. "Their tech is impressive," she admitted, "but it's not unbeatable. We have something they don't: creativity and the will to fight for what's right." The Admiral nodded, a determined glint in her eye. "Then that's what we'll use. Let's get to work." Across the planet, humanity's best and brightest were called into action. In a secret facility beneath the Sahara Desert, Dr. Aisha Okoye led a team of scientists in developing new defense systems. "We've studied the energy signatures from the alien child," Dr. Okoye explained to Sarah during a visit. "We're using that knowledge to create shields that can withstand the Council's weapons." Sarah watched in awe as a prototype shield flickered to life, deflecting energy blasts that would have previously torn through Earth's strongest materials. Meanwhile, in the depths of Silicon Valley, tech genius Wei Zhong worked on revolutionizing Earth's communication systems. "The Council can block our standard signals," Wei said, his fingers flying over holographic displays. "But we're developing quantum entanglement communicators. They'll be impossible to intercept or jam." But it wasn't just about defense and communication. Humanity needed a way to strike back. In orbital shipyards, massive warships took shape, incorporating reverse-engineered alien tech with human ingenuity. Sarah stood in the observation deck of one such shipyard, watching as workers swarmed over the hull of a ship larger than anything Earth had ever built. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" a voice said behind her. Sarah turned to see Colonel Javier Mendoza, Earth's top military strategist. "What are we calling her?" Sarah asked, gazing at the sleek vessel. "Hope's Vengeance," Javier replied with a grim smile. "Because that's what she represents: our hope for a better future, and our vengeance against those who would oppress the innocent." As impressive as the military preparations were, Sarah knew that this war would require more than just weapons and ships. It would need people, brave men and women willing to risk everything for Earth and for justice. A global recruitment drive began, with millions answering the call to action. Training centers were established on every continent, preparing Earth's new defenders for the challenges ahead. Sarah found herself traveling the world, speaking to these recruits. She told them of her experiences, of the cruelty she'd witnessed, and the hope she still held. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," she would say, the alien child floating beside her as a constant reminder of their purpose. "We're fighting for every being in this galaxy who has suffered under the Council's rule. We're fighting for a future where justice and compassion prevail." As weeks turned into months, Earth transformed. The planet that had once been divided by borders and ideologies now stood united in a common cause. Humanity, with its back against the wall, was revealing its true strength. But even as Earth prepared, the Galactic Council was not idle. Reports from deep space spoke of massive fleets assembling, of ancient weapons being awakened. The storm was coming, and it would test humanity like never before. Sarah stood on the bridge of Hope's Vengeance, watching as the final preparations were made. The ship hummed with power, a testament to what humanity could achieve when united. "Are we ready?" Admiral Rodriguez asked, joining her at the viewport. Sarah took a deep breath, thinking of all they had accomplished and all that was still at stake. "As ready as we'll ever be," she replied. "It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." As Earth prepared for war, the galaxy watched with growing interest. The news of a small, young species standing up to the mighty Galactic Council spread like wildfire across the stars. Many dismissed humanity's efforts as futile, but others saw an opportunity. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of Hope's Vengeance, Earth's flagship, as it patrolled the outer reaches of the solar system. The ship's advanced sensors suddenly lit up, detecting an incoming vessel. "Unknown ship approaching, Captain," reported Lieutenant Aki Tanaka, her fingers dancing over the control panel. It's huge." Sarah's heart raced. Was this the first wave of the Council's attack? "Battle stations," she ordered, her voice steady despite her fear. But as the massive ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, something unexpected happened. Instead of opening fire, it broadcasted a message on all frequencies. "People of Earth," a deep, rumbling voice echoed through the speakers. "We are the Zoraks. We come in peace and offer our alliance against the Galactic Council." Stunned silence fell over the bridge. Sarah exchanged glances with Admiral Rodriguez, who had joined the patrol as a show of Earth's resolve. "This could be a trick," the Admiral whispered. Sarah nodded, but something in her gut told her to take a chance. "Open a channel," she said. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike any Sarah had seen before. The Zorak's ambassador was a swirling mass of tentacles and eyes, yet there was an unmistakable intelligence in its gaze. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of Earth," she said, her voice firm. "Why do you seek alliance with us?" The Zorak's tentacles rippled. A gesture Sarah guessed was equivalent to a nod. "Brave Captain, your actions have ignited hope across the galaxy. For too long, the Council has ruled through fear and cruelty. We, like many others, have suffered under their regime, but none dared to stand against them, until now." Over the next few hours, Sarah and the Admiral learned that Earth's defiance had not gone unnoticed. The Zoraks were but one of several alien civilizations impressed by humanity's courage. They offered not just alliance, but access to advanced technology and strategic information about the Council's weaknesses. As news of the potential alliance spread, Earth's leaders debated fiercely. Some argued it was too risky to trust aliens they barely knew. Others saw it as their only chance against the Council's vast resources. In the end, it was the alien child, now recovered and able to communicate, who tipped the scales. In a special UN session, the child spoke, its words translated for all to hear. "The humans saved me when no one else would," it said, its voice like chiming bells. "They risk everything to protect the innocent. If there is hope for this galaxy, it lies with them." With those words, Earth's course was set. The alliance was formed, and with it came a surge of new possibilities. Zorak's engineers worked alongside human scientists, upgrading Earth's defenses beyond their wildest dreams. Sleek Andromean ships joined Earth's fleet, their organic technology blending seamlessly with human ingenuity. The crystalline Lumina shared their vast knowledge of cosmic geography, revealing hidden pathways through space that would give Earth a tactical advantage. Sarah found herself at the center of this whirlwind of activity. She worked tirelessly, coordinating between human and alien teams, learning about her new allies and their unique strengths. One evening, as she watched a joint human-alien crew run drills on Hope's Vengeance, Admiral Rodriguez joined her. "Did you ever imagine this when you rescued that child?" the Admiral asked, gesturing to the diverse group working in perfect harmony. Sarah shook her head, a smile playing on her lips. "Never. But isn't that what humanity does best? We adapt, we unite, we surprise everyone, including ourselves." The Admiral laughed, a sound rarely heard since the crisis began. "That we do, Captain. That we do." As they stood there, watching the stars, both women felt a shift in the air. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. They had found their place among the stars, not through conquest or submission, but through compassion and courage. The Galactic Council had unwittingly created its own worst nightmare, a united front of diverse species, led by the indomitable spirit of humanity. The real battle was yet to come. But for the first time since this journey began, the future looked bright. Sarah's hand unconsciously moved to the communicator where the alien child's words were stored. "Hope," she murmured. "We are the galaxy's hope." The day had finally come. After months of preparation, Earth and its new allies were ready to launch their first attack against the Galactic Council. The target, a heavily fortified outpost on the edge of Council space. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of Hope's vengeance, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. Around her, a fleet of ships from various alien races hung in the darkness of space, their lights twinkling like stars. "All ships report ready, Captain," Lieutenant Tanaka said, her voice steady despite the tension. Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath. "Send the signal. Operation Lighthouse begins now." Across the fleet, engines flared to life. The plan was simple but daring. While the main fleet engaged the outpost's defenses, a small team led by Sarah would infiltrate the station and gather crucial intelligence. As they approached the outpost, alarms blared. The Council had spotted them. Immediately, enemy ships poured out of hangars, weapons charging. "Here we go," Sarah muttered. "All ships, engage as planned." "Good luck, everyone." The space around the outpost erupted into chaos. Laser fire crisscrossed the void, while missiles left trails of light in their wake. Earth's ships, enhanced with alien technology, held their own against the Council's forces. Sarah watched as a Zorax cruiser used its tentacle-like appendages to grab and crush an enemy fighter. Nearby, an Andronian organic ship seemingly phased through incoming fire, its adaptive hull absorbing the energy. "Our turn," Sarah said, turning to her small team. "Let's go." Their stealth shuttle slipped away from the main battle, cloaked by Lumina technology. They approached a blind spot in the outpost's sensors, identified by their alien allies. With a soft thud, they docked with the station. Sarah led her team out, their suits allowing them to blend in with the station's interior. "Remember," she whispered, "we're here for information. Avoid engagement if possible." They moved swiftly through the corridors, guided by the station schematics provided by their allies. Several times, they had to duck into side rooms to avoid patrols, their hearts racing as heavy footsteps passed by. Finally, they'd reached the central data hub. Sarah's hands flew over the alien console, her mind racing to recall the crash course in Council tech she'd received. Come on," she muttered, as data began streaming into their devices. Suddenly, an alarm blared. They'd been detected. "Time to go," Sarah shouted, grabbing the last of the data. The team raced back to their shuttle, Council guards hot on their heels. Laser fire scorched the walls around them as they ran. Just as they reached the airlock, a guard appeared, blocking their path. Without hesitation, Sarah leaped forward, using the low gravity to her advantage. She tackled the guard, both of them floating in the air for a moment before crashing down. "Go," she yelled to her team as she struggled with the guard. With a final effort, she pushed off the guard, sending him spinning away, and dove into the shuttle. The doors slammed shut just as more guards rounded the corner. With a hiss, the shuttle disengaged from the station and sped away. Back in the main battle, the tide had turned. The combined forces of Earth and its allies had overwhelmed the outpost's defenses. As Sarah's shuttle rejoined the fleet, she saw the Council ships retreating. A cheer went up across the comms as the outpost fell silent, its weapons disabled, and its remaining crew surrendering. "We did it." Admiral Rodriguez's voice crackled over the radio. "The first victory is ours." As the fleet regrouped, Sarah looked out at the fallen outpost. This was just the beginning, she knew. The real war was yet to come. But they had proven something today. The Council could be beaten. News of the victory spread quickly across the galaxy. On countless worlds, beings who had lived in fear of the Council for generations looked up at the stars with new hope in their hearts. On the outpost, now under Earth's control, Sarah planted a flag, not just Earth's, but a new one representing their alliance. As it unfurled, showing a field of stars with hands of different species joined together, Sarah smiled. "Let them come," she said softly. "We're ready." The victory at the Council outpost was just the beginning. As news of the successful attack spread, the Galactic Council's response was swift and furious. What had started as a single act of defiance had now erupted into a full-scale galactic war. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of Hope's Vengeance, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The main screen showed a map of known space, with red dots indicating Council forces and blue representing the Alliance. "They're pushing back hard," Admiral Rodriguez said, her face grim. "We've lost contact with 3 of our forward bases." Sarah nodded, her mind racing. "They're trying to isolate us, cut off our supply lines." Just then, an alarm blared. Lieutenant Tanaka's voice rang out. "Massive energy signature detected. It's a Council dreadnought." The main screen shifted, showing a monstrous ship emerging from hyperspace. It was easily 10 times the size of Hope's Vengeance, bristling with weapons. "All ships, battle formations," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. "This is what we've trained for." The space around them erupted into chaos as the battle began. The Council dreadnought unleashed a barrage of fire that lit up the darkness of space. Alliance ships darted and weaved, their movements coordinated with a precision that spoke of long hours of joint training. Sarah watched as a squadron of Earth fighters, led by her old friend Captain Miguel Cortez, executed a daring maneuver. They flew in close formation, drawing the dreadnought's fire, then split apart at the last second. The massive energy blast meant for them instead struck a Council support ship that had been hiding behind them. "Nice one, Miguel," Sarah murmured, allowing herself a small smile. But the battle was far from over. The dreadnought's shields seemed impenetrable, shrugging off even the most powerful attacks from the Alliance fleet. "We need a new strategy," Sarah said, turning to the alien representatives on her bridge. "Any ideas?" The Zorax commander, a swirling mass of tentacles, pulsed with thought. "Perhaps a combined attack. Our technologies, used together, might overcome their defenses." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Yes. Lieutenant Tanaka, coordinate with all ships. We're going to hit that thing with everything we've got, all at once." The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as the plan was communicated across the fleet. Earth ships charged their main guns, Zorax vessels prepared their gravity weapons, and Andronian organic ships readied their energy-absorbing hulls. "On my mark," Sarah said, her hand hovering over the command console. She took a deep breath, thinking of all that was at stake. 3, 2, 1. Fire. The void of space lit up, as if a new sun had been born. Every ship in the Alliance fleet unleashed its most powerful weapons simultaneously. The combined energy of 100 different technologies struck the dreadnought's shields like a cosmic hammer. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a flash that forced everyone to shield their eyes, the dreadnought's shields collapsed. "Now's our chance," Sarah shouted. "All ships, concentrate fire on their main reactor." What followed was a display of firepower unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The once mighty dreadnought, pride of the Council fleet, was reduced to a drifting hulk in a matter of minutes. As the dust settled, a cheer went up across the Alliance fleet. They had done the impossible. They had defeated a Council dreadnought. But even as they celebrated, Sarah knew this was just one battle in a much larger war. The Council would not take this defeat lightly. They would come back stronger, more determined than ever. "Send word to Earth and all our allies," she told Lieutenant Tanaka. "We've won today, but the real fight is just beginning. We need everyone ready." As the Alliance fleet regrouped, tending to their wounded and repairing their ships, Sarah looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was plotting their revenge. But for the first time since this conflict began, she felt a glimmer of real hope. The galaxy was changing. The old order was crumbling. And humanity, once dismissed as primitive and weak, was leading the charge into a new era. "Bring it on," Sarah whispered to the distant stars. "We're just getting started." The war had raged across the galaxy for months. Countless battles had been fought, worlds had been won and lost, and billions of lives had been forever changed. But now, at last, the end was in sight. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of Hope's Vengeance, her eyes fixed on the massive space station before them. This was the heart of the Galactic Council's power, their central headquarters. And today, it would fall. "All ships report ready, Captain," Lieutenant Tanaka said, her voice tinged with excitement and nerves. Sarah nodded, her face set with determination. "Send the signal. The final battle begins now." As one, the combined fleets of Earth and its allies moved forward. The Council's defenses sprung to life, filling space with deadly energy beams and swarms of fighter ships. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from 100 different worlds fought side by side, their unique technologies blending into an unstoppable force. Earth vessels danced between enemy fire. Zorax ships manipulated gravity itself as a weapon, and Andronian organic ships absorbed and redirected energy blasts. At the heart of it all was Hope's Vengeance, with Sarah at the helm. She guided her ship through the chaos, coordinating the attack with a skill born from months of hard-fought battles. Hours passed, and slowly but surely, the Council's defenses began to crumble. With a final, massive push, the Alliance broke through. "We're in," Sarah shouted. "Boarding teams, go." She led the charge herself, racing through the corridors of the Council station. The fight was fierce, but the Council forces were overwhelmed by the diversity and determination of the Alliance troops. Finally, they'd reached the central chamber. The doors hissed open, revealing the Council leaders, the beings who had ruled the galaxy with cruelty and fear for so long. "It's over," Sarah said, her voice firm. "Surrender now." For a moment, silence reigned. Then, slowly, the Council leaders lowered their weapons. The war was won. In the days that followed, news of the Council's defeat spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, beings who had lived under the Council's oppression for generations celebrated their newfound freedom. But Sarah knew that their work was far from over. As she stood before the gathered representatives of the Alliance, she felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. "We've won the war," she said, her voice carrying across the Grand Hall. "But now comes the hard part. We have to build a better future, one that works for all beings, not just a privileged few." The discussions that followed were long and often difficult. How could they create a system that was fair to all? How could they ensure that power was never again concentrated in the hands of a few? It was the alien child, now grown and strong, who provided the answer. "We must build on what brought us together," it said, its voice like chiming bells. "Compassion, justice, and the willingness to stand up for what's right. These are the foundations of a truly great society." Inspired by these words, the Alliance set to work. They created a new galactic governance system, one based on cooperation and mutual respect. Every species, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, would have a voice. Sarah found herself at the center of this new order, helping to guide the galaxy into a brighter future. As she watched representatives from hundreds of worlds working together, she couldn't help but smile. "Captain," a voice said behind her. She turned to see Admiral Rodriguez, now one of the leaders of the new Galactic Council. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this when you rescued that child?" Sarah shook her head, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Never, but I'm glad it did." As they stood there, watching the birth of a new era, Sarah's thoughts turned to Earth. Her home, once a tiny speck in a vast galaxy, had risen to change the course of history, not through conquest or domination, but through compassion, bravery, and the unshakable belief that everyone deserves justice. "Humanity," Sarah murmured, "we did it." And across the galaxy, a new age dawned. an age of hope, of unity, and of endless possibilities. The stars, once distant and cold, now beckoned with the promise of adventure and discovery. And at the heart of it all was the spirit of humanity, burning bright and lighting the way forward.